All right, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at Masters of the Universe Masterverse Revelation Man at Arms. Yeah, this is finally found some Series 2 figures of Masterverse, and I think this is probably the only one that I'm going to be picking up. Some of the other ones look cool, but I'm trying to be a little bit more picky and choosy about which ones that I get from this line, and I just had to have Man at Arms because I really like Man at Arms' whole style, and I think he's a really nice figure. He uses a lot of the same parts as is to be expected as He-Man. Mostly the body is all the same except for the head and the armor, and then like the hands, I guess, and then obviously the weapon. But it's a very similar mold overall. But that's staying true still to the original toy line. And the original character design, so all mostly looked like they had the same loincloth and stuff like that. But yeah, he's a pretty nice figure. So because he has mostly the same body, he's got mostly the same articulation as well. The head is on a ball joint here. I think it's on that two ball joint system, where like the head itself is on a ball joint, and then the ball joint piece is also on a ball joint at the neck, so it can get a little bit more range there. So you can rotate it around and kind of wiggle it up and forth, back and forth, up and down. The shoulders still have that swivel, and they can go out to the side about that much. Still, some of the joints like feel a little bit too tight in some places, and then it kind of like feels weirdly loose in others. Pretty standard action figure stuff, I guess. He's got a bicep swivel right here, double jointed elbow there, although, just because of the shape of his muscles, you're not getting like too deep a curl, mostly just 90 degrees. Probably get it a few past that if you're willing to kind of, work with the joint specifically, but like with most of these double joints, like one is a lot tighter than the other one. So like naturally when you're moving the arm, it only ever really moves at that upper joint. You'd have to put in like special effort to get it to move at the bottom joint, and mine feels a little bit stuck, so probably not worth it. But he's got a wrist swivel from where they just peg in, and then that separate wrist hinge right there. He's got this sort of midriff cut right here, again same as He-Man and Skeletor and what was the other one? Mossman. So, you don't get like a tremendous amount forward and back. It's mostly just like fixing his posture. Like you could have him, standing at a bit more of a hunch like that, or have him standing a bit more up straight. And then you can kind of tilt it side to side. So, it's subtle. It doesn't have like a tremendous range of movement, but just enough to kind of like get some good expression out of him. He's got just a standard waist cut. The hips, you can kind of move the loincloth out of the way, but it's kind of a thick-ish rubber, so it's like it usually holds a little bit, more than the joints do in particular poses, but, that works pretty well. You can move his hip forward, back, out to the side. Thankfully, his feel pretty good, whereas like with He-Man and Skeletor, especially Skeletor, I found that like once I brought it out to the side, I couldn't easily bring it back in. So it's nice that, either I've just like gotten a bit luckier with the QC on this one, or they've decided to like adjust some of those tolerances to make it a little bit less scary, because it definitely feels like this is way better. Like I couldn't do that at all with Skeletor without risk of like breaking the leg off. He's got a thigh swivel, although it's, kind of tight, and also it's like one of those thigh swivels that sort of breaks up the sculpt a little bit. Thankfully, the like upper thigh pieces are a little bit nondescript, so it doesn't look too terrible when you get it a little bit, misaligned, but still worth mentioning. Double jointed knee. It's if it weren't for the cuff here of his boot, it'd get a pretty good bend there, and that works pretty well. He's got a boot cut at the shin here, and then his feet can tilt back and forward, and then they have that they've that rotation, which kind of also acts as an ankle tilt, and you can kind of rotate the rest of the boot to kind of compensate for that if you want his foot facing forward but still tilted. And I think that works pretty well, since like unlike with the Origins figures, these guys like actually look like their legs are like implanted in the boots, so when you rotate it, it doesn't look that strange. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to the articulation. Again, it's mostly the same body as He-Man, just with different armor pieces and a different head. So, mostly has the same articulation. He comes with some accessories here. He comes with 2 sets of extra hands. And what's nice is because like, Man-at-Arms only has the armor on one of his arms. One of his hands has this little, like brass plate on it, and the other one doesn't. And all of the extra hands are like that too. We get 2 right hand, so a closed fist and an open hand. And basically, you just get a closed fist, an open hand, and a weapon holding hand for each side. Although the ones I have on here right now are obviously the weapon holding hand on the right, and then the open hand on the left. And those are the ones he came with, but they're pretty easy to swap out. You just take them and pull them out of the socket there, and then you can put. Oh yeah, well the armor will fall off, but put whatever other piece you want on there. We'll just put the closed fist for now. Ooh, that did not stay in at all. Come on. It can be kind of difficult with him to like get the other hands on, just because like, you know, his armor pieces are what you would grab the arm by, and then they pretty much just come undone. Come on, man. Here, let me try it without the armor, just to demonstrate. But yeah, it's very tight. But you know, you can do that. The armor pieces themselves, the lower one I think stays on pretty well if you know you have the hand on, obviously. The upper one, straight out of the package here, let me just get get a hand back on him before I talk about this. Just going to be a trial. All right, come on, man. Good, good. All right. The upper one, straight out of the box, like naturally, I would expect it to sit like this, where it kind of, you know, meets his shoulder line and overlaps a little bit with the bottom arm piece. But unfortunately, when you have it like that, the loop for it doesn't really grab onto anything, so it's just kind of like floating there, which for a display I think is fine. You can easily kind of get it into the position you want and just like leave it, but it is like super loose. If you want it to actually like cling tightly to the arm, you have to move it up a little bit so it's actually like grabbing onto his bicep, which I think still looks good, but you know, it doesn't have that thing that like the Man of Arms armor usually has, where it kind of creates an illusion that these pieces are like hinged and connected. Like there's a clear gap between them, which is fine. It's not too big a deal. Just again, something that's worth mentioning. He comes with his weapon here, his big old mace, and I think that this is a super cool weapon. I had kind of a hard time getting it into his hand the first time, so I think I'm generally just going to like leave it there rather than swapping it on and out, because it felt a little bit scary, like you had to stretch the fingers a little bit more than I would like, which is kind of the case with He-Man and Skeletor too, but like I definitely didn't have quite as hard a time getting theirs in their hand, especially Skeletor, who's got like the hand that has the one finger open, made it a lot easier. But yeah, that's more or less all there is to him. I mean, you know, he's got some nice armor pieces here. It's great sculpting. I love the fur pattern there. And while this is like, you know, the thing that I like about the Revelation figures in particular is like, yeah, this is the style from the Revelation rather cartoon, but you know, it's more or less just like updated versions of classic characters. So like, you know, it's basically a new sort of classics line in some ways, which I appreciate, because I like the Origins figures a lot and that original sort of toyetic look. But some characters I do kind of want to have, you know, like more, I guess, high end, like, you know, more realistic looking figures of them. Not everyone, but it's definitely cool to see Duncan a little bit more realistic in terms of comparisons. Here he is with He-Man and Skeletor from the Masterverse line. Again, you know, mostly the same parts as He-Man, which I suspect share probably a bunch of parts with Skeletor too. Probably just like the upper legs, the body, definitely the upper arms, not the lower arms, not the hands, not the feet and the boots, but you know, mostly a lot of the same parts. For standard size comparisons, here he is with a pop vinyl and a deluxe transformer. And then last but not least, here he is with Origins Man-at-Arms and the Eternia Minis Man-at-Arms, or one variation of them. And they look good together. Again, you know, I like the sort of like toyetic look of the original, you know, Origins Man-at-Arms, and like it kind of keeps the same sort of vibe with the Eternia Minis one. But I definitely like, you know, the more muted, like coppery tone. Well, it's not really coppery. It's just like more goldy metal sort of tones, rather than like the bright orange yellow and then like the more muted green as opposed to the bright green. It just makes them look a little bit more serious, which is like, you know, it's a bit cooler, I think, but they still look good together. But yeah, you know, that's pretty much all there is to say about the guy. Again, you know, he's a pretty standard Masterverse figure just of this character, and I think it turned out really well. And I will say that, like, for the most part, the joints on this guy feel a little bit better than any of the other Masterverse figures I've gotten so far. So hopefully that's kind of like a running change, and that, ones in the future will not be quite as hit and miss. But either way, he looks pretty good as display on the shelf. But yeah, if you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And without further ado, here we have Masters of the Universe Masterverse Revelation Man at Arms.